and welcome to this week's episode of Blue Ice Talks. I'm Blue, and I like to talk about figure skating. In today's video, I'm going to provide a summary of the Grand Prix de France and then a summary of the Grand Prix standings so far. So this week's Grand Prix event was the Grand Prix de France, which was held in Angers. And as always, let's start with the men's event. If you didn't get to watch this event in real time, you might want to rewatch it, but if you do, you should probably be aware that this was the lowest scoring Grand Prix event for men since, I believe, Cup of China 2019. So just be aware of that going in. For the podium, Adam Xiao managed to rise from 8th place in the short programme to 1st overall with a great free skate. Koshiro Shimada from Japan won the silver after finishing 5th in the short programme and 3rd in the free, and then Andrew Torgashev from the USA finished 4th in both sections and was 0.2 points behind Koshiro to take the bronze. In the women's event, it was a much cleaner affair. Amber Glenn from the USA landed a triple axel in her short programme, which gave her a good enough buffer for the free skate, and so she won overall with 210 points. Then Japan's Wakaba Higuchi finished in 2nd, with a really strong free skate pulling her up from 3rd in the short, and then Japan's Rion Sumiyoshi finished in 3rd. The highlight of the women's event for me has to be Wakaba Higuchi's free skate. It was just brilliant. In the pairs event, the German team of Minerva Fabian Haas and Nikita Volodin won the gold, with the Italian pair Sara Conti and Niccolo Macci winning the silver, and the other Italian pair of Rebecca Ghilardi and Filippo Ambrosini the bronze. The highlight for me was absolutely Sara Conti and Niccolo Macci's free skate. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's very beautiful and very emotional for them. And then in the ice dance event, like at Skate America, the first event of the Grand Prix series, there was a bit of an upset here. So the French team of Evgenia Lopereva and Geoffrey Briseau from France won the gold medal over the favourites going in, the Italians Charline Guinard and Marco Fabri. And then for the bronze medal, Emily Bratti and Ian Somerville from the USA won the bronze, ahead of who people might have thought would have won, the Lithuanian team of Alison Reed and Saulis Ambrolevicius. So with the third event of the Grand Prix series now finished, we are halfway through, and I thought it would be fun to do a little summary of the overall standings so far. So in the men's event, Ilya Malinin has completed and won his 2 Grand Prix assignments, and so he is currently in first place with 30 points and is definitely qualified for the Grand Prix final. There is no way that anyone can top his score and kick him out of the top 6. In second place in the standings at the moment is Koshiro Shimada, who added 13 points with his silver medal in France to the 5 points he got in the USA. So he is currently in second but is likely to be moved down. And then as the other skater to have won a Grand Prix event, Adam Xiao is currently in third with 15 points, and he is going to compete at the Cup of China in the 6th event. In fourth place currently is Kevin Amos with 13 points from his silver medal at Skate America, and he got a higher score than Shun Sato, who is currently in 5th place in the standings. They both have 13 points, and the difference in standings is decided by who has the highest total score so far, which is Kevin Amos. And so in 6th place, rounding out the Grand Prix final, if you will, if it were to happen tomorrow, is Cal Miura with his 11 points from his bronze medal at Skate America, and he is again ahead of Junwan Cha, who also has 11 points, and Andrew Torgashev, who has 11 points, because Cal scored the highest with 278 points, Jun then scored the next highest with 260, and Andrew the next highest with 233. So with Junwan in 7th place at the moment, as I said, he would be the first substitute, and then Andrew Torgashev is in 8th, so he'd be the second, And then in ninth, the third substitute, is Nika Edgards, who has got 9 points with his 4th place finish at Skate America, and again, because of the point difference, is ahead of Soti Yamamoto and Mikhail Shidorov, who finished in 4th place in Canada and France as well. One notable skater who I haven't mentioned, who doesn't yet have a score on the board, is Yuma Kageyama, and that's because his first event is the NHK Trophy, which is the event next week. So now on to the women's standings. In first place at the moment is Wakabe Higuchi, who, with 15 points from her Skate America win and 13 points from her silver in France, has 28 total points, and she, like Ilya, has qualified for the final because there isn't a way that any of the other skaters can score above 28 points, or if they could match 28 points, but they can't knock her out the top 6. Then in second place at the moment is Amber Glenn, who has 15 points from her win in France and is currently ahead of third place Kaori Sakamoto, who also has 15 points from her win at Skate Canada, but Amber scored higher at her Grand Prix event and so has a higher total score than Kaori. Then in fourth place at the moment is Nina Pinzarone, who finished in 4th at Skate America and then got an additional 5 points at the Grand Prix de France, and so has 14 points total, just behind the 2 15s that Amber and Kaori have. Then in 5th and 6th place we have Rinka Watanabe and Rino Matsuike, who both have 13 points. Rinka from her second place at Skate America and Rino from her second place at Skate Canada. Again, their order is just determined by their total scores. So that would be our lineup if the Grand Prix final was held tomorrow, but then the substitutes would be Rion Sumiyoshi, Isabeau Levito, and Hana Yoshida, who all have 11 points from their third place finishes, but Rion scored the highest at the Grand Prix de France, then Isabeau at the Skate America, and then Hana Yoshida at Skate Canada. Similar to the men, there are some notable entries who I haven't mentioned so far. So Luna Hendricks was meant to compete at this event, the Grand Prix de France, but she withdrew due to an injury. However, she is still down to compete at the Finland Grand Prix. So while she won't make the final, it will be interesting to see how her participation could upset some of the other final hopefuls. And then also Monet Chiba. She is set to compete at her first event, the NHK Trophy, next week. So she doesn't have a score on the board just yet, but she is probably one I would say to watch out for. So now on to the pairs standings. In first place in the standings at the moment are Elisa Efimova and Misha Mitrofanov, and they have 20 points, which comes from 11 from their third place finish at Skate America, and then 9 from their 4th place finish at the Grand Prix de France. And then in second in the standings at the moment is Ekaterina Gainish and Dmitry Chigarev, and they have 18 points in total, 13 coming from their silver medal at Skate Canada, and then 5 from the Grand Prix de France. And then in third, fourth, and fifth in the standings at the moment, we have the 3 winners of the events so far. So in third place is Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, who won Skate America. Then in 4th place at the moment, we have Minerva Fabian Haas and Nikita Volodin, who won the Grand Prix de France. And then in 5th, Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, who won Skate Canada. And again, their order is just decided by the tiebreaker, which comes down to their total scores so far. And so rounding out the top 6 at the moment are Sara Conti and Niccolò Macci, who came second at the Grand Prix de France, and they are in 6th at the moment, ahead of Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea, who also came second. They came second at Skate America, but again, because of score differences, Conti and Macci are ahead. So Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea are currently in 7th, so they'd be first alternatives. And then 8th is Anastasia Gulabeva and Hector Giotopoulos Moore, who finished in 3rd at Skate Canada. And then in 9th at the moment is Rebecca Ghilardi and Filippo Ambrosini, who finished in 3rd at the Grand Prix de France. And again, those two are just separated by their total scores. For pairs, it's not the same as for the single skaters, as most of the sort of big name teams have competed at least once already. The main two that people are looking at are Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, and then Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, as they are the world champions from the past 2 years. But people are also looking at Minerva Fabian Haas and Nikita Volodin, since they did win their first assignment as well. So it is going to be interesting, and the first pair that we'll see out of those sort of big three is Miura and Kihara at the NHK Trophy. And then finally, the ice dance standings. So in first place at the moment is Evgenia Lopareva and Jeffrey Brazeau, who have 26 combined points, 11 from their third place at Skate Canada, and then 15 from their first place at the Grand Prix de France. I think they have definitely qualified for the final. I don't believe anyone can beat them, because while other skaters who finish second at both events could also get 26 points, due to Lopareva and Brazeau having won one of their events, they would be prioritised. They would place higher according to the tiebreakers than those who had finished second in both events. Then in second and third at the moment, we have Piper Gilles and Paul Poirier, and then Lila Fear and Lewis Gibson, who won the first two events. And again, their placements are just decided according to their total scores. So Gilles and Poirier are in second, and Fear and Gibson are in third. And then rounding out the top 6, we have the teams that have finished in second at their events. So in fourth place at the moment are Madison Chock and Evan Bates, who have finished second at Skate America. Then in fifth are Marjorie Lahoui and Zachary Laha, who finished in second at Skate Canada. And then in sixth, rounding out our little Grand Prix final at the moment, are Charlene Guinard and Marco Fabry, who just finished in second at the Grand Prix de France. Again, their placements are just decided by their total scores at the moment. So Chock and Bates had the highest total score out of the second place finishers, with Lahoui and Laha having the next highest, and then Guinard and Fabry. And then in seventh place at the moment, so our first alternatives if this was the Grand Prix final, we have Katerina Mrazkova and Daniel Mrazek, who got 5 points at Skate America and then 7 at the Grand Prix de France, and so have 12 points overall at the moment. And then the 8th place pair at the moment, the second alternates if you will, Leah Neset and Artem Markalov, also have 12 points, but because the Mrazeks have a higher total score, they are ranked above them at the moment. And then in 9th at the moment is Emily Bratti and Ian Somerville, and they have 11 points from their third place finish at the Grand Prix de France. Now, Olivia Smart and Tim Dieck also have 11 points, but because Bratti and Somerville have completed 2 Grand Prix events so far, while Smart and Dieck have only done 1, Bratti and Somerville obviously have a higher combined total score. So that's why they're currently in 9th place. Similar to the pairs event, most of the sort of biggest teams have already competed in at least one event at the moment. The only sort of big teams I can think of that haven't are Christina Carrera and Anthony Pomerenko, and Caroline Green and Michael Parsons, and both of those teams are going to compete first at the NHK Trophy next weekend. So there are no challenger events coming up next week, which means that the only sort of big event is going to be the NHK Trophy, which is the 4th stop in the Senior Grand Prix series. I will say though, I am going to finally deliver the 200 subscriber special video next week. I'm not entirely sure which day, but it will be coming next week, for sure, 100%. If I fail on that, you're welcome to roast me on any social media you want. It will be another rescoring video, and I have decided on the skater. It is going to be an Evgenia Medvedeva rescoring video. I will not reveal which program though, that will be the surprise. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate all of the love and support and feedback that you've given me. If there's any skating topic that you'd specifically like me to cover, please do let me know in the comments. At the moment, I am mostly focusing on my Grand Prix recap videos, but if there is something specific that you'd like me to cover, especially after the Grand Prix series, I'll have a lot more time to do other topics. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!